Good morning again, ladies and gentlemen. We will proceed where we left off and ask of the defense, is there further evidence for the defense?
Yes, Your Honor. The defense calls Dr. Maher Nuruddin.
Good morning, Dr. Maher.
Good morning.
Place your left hand on the Bible, raise your right, face Madam Clerk.
Do you solemnly swear the testimony you give the court will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
Thank you. May be seated.
Good morning.
Good morning, Dr. Nuruddin.
Good morning.
If you could say and spell your name for the court reporter.
My name is Maher Nuruddin. First name Maher, last name Noureddine.
And Dr. Nuruddin, what do you do for work?
I own and run a forensic DNA and serology evidence consulting company. So I consult on criminal and civil cases involving DNA evidence, evaluate that evidence, testify in court when asked. I perform my own research, and I also prepare and provide continuing legal education on the topic of forensic DNA and serology.
And Dr. Nuruddin, tell me about your educational background, please.
I have a Bachelor's of Science degree from Radford University in Virginia, a Master's in Molecular Biology from University of North Carolina at Greensboro, and a PhD in Molecular Genetics from the University of North Carolina at Chapel Hill.
And can you tell somebody like me who doesn't know much about DNA what those subject matters mean?
They involve basically the foundation of this discipline, which is biology. That's sort of the overarching field. And then within the area of biology, there's genetics. And genetics looks at DNA, what we inherit from our parents, how DNA functions in the body, how it contributes to our traits, and DNA from a forensic identity purposes, which is identifying individuals through their DNA fingerprint.
And before you ran this company, what was your work experience?
My work experience after I finished my education started with postdoctoral training. So my first postdoc was at Duke University Medical Center, working on the complex genomics of Parkinson's disease. So within that work, I looked at variations in the human genome and how they associate with complex neurodegenerative disorders like Parkinson's and Alzheimer's. And then I moved on from that to do another postdoc at the National Institute of Health, looking at cancer genetics, so how our DNA contributes to our risk of developing cancer.
And so, Dr. Nuruddin, have you testified in court before as an expert?
Yes,
In what field?
in the field of forensic DNA and serology.
And how many times would you say you've testified as an expert?
Approximately 85 times.
And in what courts?
State and federal, both inside and outside North Carolina.
Your Honor, at this time, I tender him as an expert in forensic genetics.
No objection from the state, Your Honor.
His testimony will be received as proper.
Okay, Dr. Nuruddin, did you come to be involved in this case?
Yes.
How?
You reached out to me about this case, about a particular question that you needed me to evaluate from a scientific perspective and research and assist in conducting testing on Mr. Thompson.
And we're going to get more in detail later about this, but what specific question was I asking you to answer?
So the question was, since Mr. Thompson was administered Minocycline, which is an antibiotic, whether there are any correlations between Minocycline, the way that individuals receive it, whether that has been associated with any adverse effects. So how minocycline is processed in the body, and how your DNA plays a role in that processing, and then how Mr. Thompson's genetic background in particular may have impacted the metabolism of minocycline in his body.
So before we get into details about that specific question, I want to talk about the universe surrounding it. Can you tell me a little about how genetics play a role in medicine, in processing medicine in your body?
Right. Well, your genetic makeup makes you who you are, not only from a phenotypic manifestations like your eye color, hair color, and physical features, but how your body functions from A to Z. So the cell, every cell in your body takes its instructions from your DNA. Now, some of the processes that go on in your body involve the breakdown of medicine. Medicine is typically a foreign particle that enters your body, and it needs to be broken down properly, and it's broken down by the liver, predominantly by the liver. There are many enzymes in the liver that actually are able to break down that medicine and clear it from the body. And once it enters the body and gets processed, it provides therapeutic function, and then it has to sort of be vacated from the body. So your DNA plays a role in almost every step in the process.
And so you were talking about enzymes and how they break down the medicine. Tell me how those are affected by your genetics.
Your liver contains an enzyme called the cytochrome P450. This is a fairly big protein that is made up of many subcomponents, approximately 57 different subcomponents. Each component is encoded by your DNA. So your DNA dictates how that component is made and whether that component has any variations within it, and we all have those variations. And so each one of those components has a role in breaking down foreign particles, or in this case, medicine. Now, some components are what we call typical or normal functioning, meaning that they are able to break down medicine effectively, and that is dictated by your DNA. Some people have variations in these components, and those variations can impact how the medicine is absorbed, processed through the body, and ultimately broken down. Some of these enzymes in some people are deficient, meaning that they are not able to break down those components efficiently, and the consequence of that is that the medicine will have an abnormal accumulation in your body, and therefore the therapeutic effect of that medicine can change from one person to another.
So if somebody is deficient in their ability to break down certain medication, you said it accumulates in their body. What can that do?
Well, it becomes a higher dose of that medicine than intended, and therefore in order for that medicine to work properly, and as that medicine is researched by scientists and published upon, that medicine has very narrow criteria by which it needs to enter the body, perform its function, and be eliminated. Changes in these amounts can result in higher accumulation, which could lead to adverse effects. It could lead to side effects for that medicine. So that's why when you take medicine, there's a dose, and that dose is critical. A doctor prescribing medicine will tell you, take it at a particular milligrams, tablets at a certain time of day, with or without food. These are not just, arbitrary instructions. These are critical. And so when that medicine is not behaving as supposed to in the body, that can lead to unintended consequences.
Now we're focusing on having deficiencies and it's slowing down the metabolism, but can the opposite be true? Can somebody metabolize medicine faster than the average person?
Yes, and some individuals will have variations in these P450 proteins that allow them to process the medicine much more efficiently and quickly than the normal population, or the average population, I should say. And therefore, they will not get the benefit from a particular dose, and therefore they are prescribed a higher dose. Generally speaking, when somebody metabolizes medicine more quickly, they are given higher dose in order to get the benefit of that therapeutic effect.
Dr. Nuruddin, science was not my best subject, and I like to try and translate things into things I already understand. And I'm just going to ask a question. You let me know if I'm understanding it correctly.
Sure.
I can consume a lot of caffeine and not feel very affected by it. My mother-in-law, on the other hand, when she has even just a little bit of caffeine, she'll be awake all night. Is that kind of what we're talking about here? Is that the same substance has different effects on different people?
Exactly, yes. And that has to do a lot with your genetic makeup, your body physiology. There's a slew of different reasons in how any particle that enters your body, how your body will react to it. And it has a lot to do with your DNA background.
Now, moving to minocycline particularly, can you tell me what we know about minocycline and how the body breaks it down?
Well, what I know, and of course, before I got involved in this case, I didn't know a whole lot about minocycline, so I had to do quite a bit of research and look up how it's processed. What I know, and for the purpose of this case, I know that minocycline is an antibiotic. It is used to treat various infections that other antibiotics cannot reach. And it has to do with the nature of minocycline. Minocycline is, I would call, a very special antibiotic. It is able to reach tissue in the body that is not directly connected to circulation. So it's able to sort of traverse fat tissue, particularly, reach places like skin, kidneys. It can also reach the brain. So it can traverse the blood-brain barrier and accumulate in the central nervous system. So this is one of the unique features of minocycline, in that it is able to treat certain conditions, or particularly infections, that are not touched by other antibiotics. It is also a unique antibiotic because it is being looked at from its anti-inflammatory, particularly neuronal anti-inflammatory effect, because it is able to interact with the central nervous system. It has been found that it has an anti-inflammatory effect, and there's many research projects ongoing now to look at potentially protective effect of minocycline on neurodegenerative disorders. Like I said, I worked on Parkinson's and Alzheimer's, and it's being looked at now as a compound that can potentially treat those conditions and or carry certain molecules into affected neurons. So it has quite a bit of interest out there in the medical field.
So, talking about the fact that it can accumulate, tell me why that makes breaking it down important.
If it accumulates in the body and it's shielded from being eliminated, therefore it can have a different effect on certain parts of the body. And the what we call the pharmacokinetics of the medicine, the way it is cleared by the body, can change. And the pharmacodynamics of the medicine, the way it exerts its therapeutic effect, can also be tricky to predict.
Can also be
Tricky to predict.
And so in the research that you did to determine what, if anything, we could do in this case, did you come across anything that indicated that the P450 subunit was involved in the breaking down of minocycline?
Yes, and this is not the only research that is being done. There's a lot that we don't know about that molecule, that compound. But the cytochrome P450 is the responsible complex that breaks down minocycline. And throughout my research, I found there's one subunit. It's called the 3A4 subunit, is responsible in part for breaking it down and processing it by the liver. Now, that's what's known so far. We don't know what else is involved in breaking it down, and I'm sure some of these questions may be answered, in the years to come.
And Dr. Nuruddin, once you sort of got to that place and understood that there were genetic markers that we know are associated with the breakdown of minocycline, did you offer any advice to our team to explore the subject further?
Yes, and the advice was to look at Mr. Thompson's genetic background to see the main question, the main hypothesis is whether Mr. Thompson has any variants in his body that would impact or alter the way he responds to medication in general. There's not a whole lot known about minocycline in terms of how different genetic backgrounds will respond to it. So the pharmacogenomics, as we call it, in relation to this particular molecule are still scarce. There's a paucity of information about. And therefore, one has to evaluate the individual and ask the general question first. Does that individual have any genetic background that would alter his ability to process medication in general? And, if you have a question, you need some kind of a way to answer it. And, within the last 10 years, there has been many, many advances in looking at how genomics impact medicine. This is a topic that is extremely popular nowadays, called personalized medicine. Personalized medicine looks at your genetic background and can tell you whether you have risk in processing certain types of medication.
And did you recommend a specific test?
Yes, upon research, there was one company that offers a test, a pharmacogenetic test, that would look at the genetic profile of an individual and figure out whether there are variants in that person's DNA. And we were able to find that company and use that company to perform that test on Mr. Thompson's DNA.
And who took the sample of Mr. Thompson's DNA?
I did.
And did you, are you familiar with how to take a sample correctly?
Yes.
And did you do so?
Yes.
And did that company produce results?
Yes, they did. They produced a 275-page report.
All right. Your Honor, may I approach?
Yes.
Dr. Nuruddin, I am handing you, looks like a 4, I'm going to fix that, what is marked as Defendant's Exhibit 9.
Okay.
Do you recognize that document?
Excuse me. Yes, these are the last 4 pages of that report.
And are these the specific information about his genetic profile as it relates to medicine and metabolizing medication?
Yes.
And was this something that you relied upon in coming to your conclusions?
Yes.
Your Honor, at this time, I move to admit Defendant's Exhibit 9.
Any objection?
No, Your Honor.
That's allowed.
And if we could publish on the screen.
Are you connected to your table?
Mr. Elmore is.
Okay, close to the table.
All right. Now, Dr. Nuruddin, ultimately, this test, what did you find on this test that was of interest to the question that we had asked you?
So what's being displayed on this screen is on the left-hand side under gene. This is the gene that is responsible for processing or a certain process in the body. It's one of the genes that is being looked at by this company. They're not looking at every gene in your body, obviously. They're looking at a specific set of them. So that's the name of the gene on the left-hand side. Under genotype is the variant from Mr. Thompson. That's his DNA and the variant that exists in that gene in his body. Under phenotype is a description of that particular variant and the impact it has on drug metabolism. And therefore, if you read the result on the right-hand side, it tells you whether that particular variant is a normal metabolizer or intermediate metabolizer or a deficient variant. So it's sort of a compilation of what we found in his body.
And are there particular genes on this page that were of specific note to you?
Yes, we're looking particularly, and based on the hypothesis and based on the scope of this project, is to look at the components of the cytochrome P450 protein complex. And those components, like I said, there's about 57 of them, to see whether those components are in his body normal metabolizers, intermediate, or poor metabolizers. And the results are shown here. Mr. Thompson possesses a genotype of many of these cytochrome P450 subunits, which are designated as intermediate metabolizers.
So we're looking at several things on this piece of paper. Are they all part of the P450 complex?
No, there's other genes as well. This is being looked at, and if I can just give a quick background,
Yes.
This is being looked at a set of genes that are involved in drug metabolism, not only the cytochrome P450, but other genes in the body that can contribute to disease risk as well. For example, whether a person can process anticoagulants, whether the individual needs to be modulated by their physician when treated for cardiovascular disease. So we're not only talking about infections, we're talking about all different types of therapeutic areas.
So this test was testing for more material than the P450 complex.
Yeah, absolutely. There's many genes that are being looked at, but the cytochrome P450 is a big focus, not only for us, but for this particular type of test by this company because of the involvement of that protein in metabolizing drugs in general.
And how do we know which genes on here are part of that complex?
The ones that are designated CYP, the CYP prefix, yes.
Okay.
Those are they're called CYP because the complex start with CYP, CYP450, and each one of these CYPs is a subcomponent of that CYP450 complex.
So is it fair to say that those CYP notations are the ones that you were the most interested in?
Yes, predominantly these are the liver enzymes that metabolize a slew of drugs that enter the body.
And before I kind of got us on the sidetrack, you were talking about how he's an intermediate metabolizer on several of those. What does that mean?
Well, it means that when a doctor prescribes medicine that is known to be associated with that component, with that cytochrome P450 component, it's a flag to tell the doctor, and again, this is consumed by a medical professional ultimately, this information. So it tells the treating physician, this individual may not be able to metabolize that medicine quickly, so pay attention to the dose. That's the whole purpose for this test and this panel.
And were there any other findings on facts that were of note to you?
Yes, what was remarkable is that Mr. Thompson possesses a component of the cytochrome P450. It's called the CYP3A5, which is the
Sorry.
and it's the bottom. Yeah, there you go.
This one right here?
Yes. So when the company tested his DNA for that subunit, they found alleles 3-3. So he inherited allele 3 from his mom and allele 3 from his dad, which renders, and what's known about allele 3 is that it's non-functional. It doesn't work. So he inherited 2 copies of the bad gene, which renders that particular component, and the company designated as poor metabolizer, meaning it's non-functional. And in the literature, you look at that combination of alleles, and that protein is basically non-functional.
So that particular one is non-functional. Does that mean he can't metabolize medicine at all?
No, not at all. I mean, again, all of these components,
Sorry.
all these components act in synergy. It's not like one component is, dedicated to processing one particular medicine. There's collaboration between them. There's synergy between them. But what this result says is that he is unable to process medicine compared to a complete wild type individual or a complete normal individual. Now, he can process medicine or some medicine fine, but others not so well. And in order to get to the sort of the question, can he or can't he process minocycline, you have to do much more tests than that. You're going to have to, figure out how that particular medicine is working in his body to be able to predict that.
Now, Dr. Nardine, did you prepare a report in this case?
I did.
Your Honor, may I approach?
Yes.
Dr. Nardine, I am handing you what I have marked as Defendant's Exhibit 10. Does that appear to be a copy of the report you prepared?
Yes.
And does it appear to be the same report you prepared and sent to me?
Yes.
Your Honor, at this time I'd move to admit Defendant's Exhibit 10.
Any objection?
No, Your Honor.
It's allowed.
And Dr. Nardine, did you review information to ensure that Austin Thompson was in fact taking minocycline?
I asked for information to validate that bit of information, and based on my understanding, he was on minocycline when he was admitted to the hospital after the incident.
Did you also review pharmacy records demonstrating that he had been on minocycline for a while?
Yes.
Your Honor, may I approach?
Yes.
Dr. Nardine, I am handing you what is marked Defendant's Exhibit 11. Are those the pharmacy records that you reviewed?
Yes.
Your Honor, did you rely upon those as well?
Yes.
Your Honor, at this time I'd move to admit Defendant's Exhibit 11.
Any objection?
No, Your Honor.
Now, Dr. Nardine, you started by saying that what we know from the medical literature is that the 3A4 subunit is involved in the metabolizing of minocycline, right?
Yes, it's one of the subunits that have been looked at already. It doesn't mean that others are not. It's just what's been published so far.
But you also described how the different subunits of the P450 complex work, I think you used synergy.
Right.
Is that right?
Correct.
In general, to metabolize medication.
Correct.
Okay. And he was intermediate on several of the other key subunits in his
Correct.
ability to metabolize. Is that right?
Yes.
And he had a complete loss of function at the 3A5 subunit.
Correct.
No further questions, Your Honor.
Cross-examination.
Yes, Your Honor, thank you. Good morning, Dr. Murdy.
Good morning.
So I just want to have some questions for you. Thank you for being here today. Just want to be clear, you are not the one doing the actual experiments or analysis of these drugs. Is that correct?
The analysis of the drugs. Do you mean the analysis of the genetic background?
Is it fair to say you analyzed the results that this company provided to you?
Correct. The report, yes.
And in terms of research of minocycline, you did research. It's not something that you conduct experiments on.
Correct.
And in a sense, this was a bit of an experiment. You had a hypothesis. You kind of, is that right?
I couldn't have said it better.
Okay.
Yes.
You got some information back.
Yes.
And you were able to look at that and compare that to the research that you did.
Precisely.
Okay. And did anyone review this work that you did?
No.
I want to get to, so minocycline in general, do you know how long that's been around, FDA approved?
I can't quote a particular number, but it has been around for many years.
Since about maybe the 70s, 1971. Does that sound fair?
Sounds
based
about
on
right, yes.
The research that you did on this?
Yes.
And experiments have been conducted about the use of minocycline since then.
Yes.
And it continues to be evaluated. And I think you said it continues to, it may be expanding in its use, perhaps.
Yes.
And when you were asked to conduct this experiment, you were asked whether the defendant's ability to metabolize minocycline could have been affected by his genetic background, right? Like you've explained. And the consequences of that being increased risk of experiencing side effects.
Potentially, yes.
Is that what causes side effects in all medications? Is the buildup of portions of that foreign body that are not metabolized either in full or correctly?
It is one explanation. Some people are allergic to certain drugs. They don't tolerate it.
Sure.
But in terms of the two terms, the pharmacokinetic and the pharmacodynamic impact of that medicine, your DNA plays a huge role in it. So, some individuals can take medicine and it be very effective in them. Others, they may need to adjust the dose a little bit to be effective. Others may not respond to that medicine.
And is it fair to say that is it possible that some people don't break down the medicine the same way others do and still have no side effects?
Correct.
And when you are doing this experiment, you're not able to say what kind of side effects any accumulation or lack of the ability to break down these substances is. Is that correct?
It's a bit of a general question. Are we talking about minocycline or just drugs in general?
Well, if you have an answer as to minocycline, are you able to say which particular side effects?
Well, there are published side effects of minocycline. They are well known, and I believe they were discussed quite a bit yesterday. some are psychiatric type side effects.
And
And-
those are, just to be clear, those are the rarest in that spectrum. Is that fair to say?
Well, they are rare. There are reports, and there's not a whole lot of information out there. I have to be also clear on that. As medicine, it has undergone clinical studies. It has been looked at very carefully. It's been around, like you said, for quite some time. But there are also ongoing research. And what we have known from existing research is that, yes, it does have side effects, psychiatric and otherwise. Now,
some of those are nausea, headaches, dizziness. It can affect skin tone.
yes, they can. And because of its ability to sort of impact the central nervous system, translocate and accumulate in the central nervous system, it has psychological and psychiatric impact. And in addition to things like, and again, those were discussed yesterday, depersonalization, lack of awareness, even aggression. There are published reports that one group did on a couple of hundred people, and half of the individuals that received the drug, this was a placebo-controlled study, half the people that received the drug exhibited some sort of side effects, including irritability and aggression.
And that was conducted in like 1977, is that correct?
It is a pretty old study, yes.
Right.
But it's quoted subsequently in the literature quite a bit.
Right, and we'll get there. But I guess to go back, there's a spectrum of side effects that minocycline and any drug can have, correct?
Correct.
And so your analysis, fair to say your analysis can't determine which of those side effects someone might have based on their ability or inability to process these medicines.
My experiment did not go that far. My experiment stopped at looking at Mr. Thompson's genetic background and whether he has propensity and what we call risk of exhibiting side effects because of the perturbations in processing minocycline. How is that medicine going to impact him in particular in exhibiting any side effects, and what those side effects are? That is beyond what I've done.
And in fact, in your report, minocycline, you mentioned that minocycline is viewed as a safer and more tolerated treatment for acne and these skin issues, right?
Yes, it has replaced another drug on the market for treating acne, a drug called Accutane, which was not tolerated by people. It was leading to suicidal thoughts and so on. So minocycline took the place of Accutane in treating acne vulgaris.
And it's prescribed hundreds of thousands of people every year. Fair to say.
That's my understanding, yes.
Now, in your research, did you find where minocycline had been found to be the cause of any act of violence?
No.
And I want to go to the studies that you mentioned.
Can I have a copy?
Yes, John.
I didn't get the ones from yesterday either.
Oh.
Certainly like to have any copies you have. Thank you.
No problem.
And specifically, looking at page 3 of your report, Dr. Nuruddin, you did research and wanted to find out as much as you could about minocycline and these potential side effects. Is that fair?
Yes.
And what you were able to find is that these depersonalization symptoms, there are at least 2 that are mentioned in the studies and the research that you did. Is that fair to say?
I believe it's at least 3. There was a report, there's reports of 2 females that you may be referring to. There's also...
I'm just looking at page 3 of 6 where you say at least 2 patients. In that first line of the first paragraph.
Yes, there are 2 patients that have been studied thoroughly. And I believe there's another male patient that I found coming across this literature. I may not have expanded on that particular case, but at least 2. You're right. You're absolutely right. At least 2 that have been thoroughly documented.
And those were both females, right?
Yes.
And doesn't the literature, isn't it pretty clear that it tends to affect females more so than males in terms of side effects?
There is mention of that, yes.
And both of these females, the onset of their symptoms was almost immediately, if not within the first few days of taking this medicine.
Correct. But these are, I'm sorry to interrupt you, but these are, 24-year-old and a 37-year-old. These are older females. So that tells us very little about what this medicine could do to a variety of different ages.
Right, and you didn't find any research. I'm assuming you looked if there were any about 15-year-olds. You would have put that in your report.
I would have, yes.
Right.
What I also mentioned in my report is that the World Health Organization documented many, many more cases with minocycline contributing to psychiatric issues. These are hundreds of cases. Now, do we know much about them? No. I looked. There's very, very little, if any, information about these individuals, what they experience. They only categorize the side effects as being psychiatric in nature. We have no idea what that means.
And so there's a spectrum there, right?
Right?
So I want to talk to you about what you've got listed in your report as the section on minocycline metabolism. So it is, as you've described, it's metabolized by this P450.
Yes.
And sounds like you're not, the exact mechanism for how this drug is metabolized is not fully defined. What do you mean by that?
It's simply not known. There's a lot that still needs to be uncovered about how that component of the cytochrome system breaks it down, and what else in the body is needed to break it down. Like I said, these cytochrome subcomponents sometimes act in synergy. So
sometimes, and sometimes they don't, correct?
yes, sometimes they do, sometimes they don't. It depends on the drug. And then and again, the human genetic background of the individual will play a huge role in that.
And so, but one of the things that has been shown, and what we do know is I guess I'll call it the 3A4. Is that what am I doing that right?
Yes, that's the subunit that has been studied and has been understood so far to be involved, but it's not.
In the processing of minocycline.
Yes, but it's not an exclusive finding, meaning that we don't know what else.
Well, we don't know what else, but we know for sure that that one is involved.
At least.
At least involved.
Yes.
And your report goes on to, well, and I want to go back to, with regards to the defendant specifically, that 3A4 subunit is normal, isn't it?
Yes, that's based on the results of his test, correct.
And based on your research, there is, and what you say at the first full sentence of top of page 4 in Defendant's Exhibit 10, is that there is no evidence to link the activity of or variations in CYP3A4 or other components of the CYP450 complex directly to cases of depersonalization or other side effects caused by minocycline.
Correct. That so far there's nothing published about that.
And so you took Mr. Thompson's a DNA swab, I imagine it's a buccal swab, and send that off. The company that was used, Clarity, is that what it's called?
Yes, Clarity X.
That was, I think you described this, they offered the most comprehensive platform for being able to do this.
One of the most. I think there are a couple of companies out there, but this one was suitable to answer the questions we're after.
Well, you refer to it as the most comprehensive diagnostic platform available.
To us, yes.
Okay. And because you wanted to get the most information you can get, right? The most data.
Right.
And that data evaluates how many different drugs? Hundreds?
Yeah, 275 different drugs. They span the spectrum of clotting problems, cardiovascular disease, diabetes, you name it.
All sorts of things.
Right.
But minocycline was not evaluated.
Well,
was not included among those 275 drugs.
Right, and that tells you quite a bit about the paucity of information about minocycline. This is not one of those drugs that are looked at carefully, like a drug that treats some form of cancer is not looked at in the same capacity and inquisition as these other drugs.
Well, but it's also been around and it's been studied for 50-some years, correct?
Right, and you know, you would think that a drug like that, if it's not being looked at, there's a lot that we don't know about it. And from the perspective that we are trying to understand drug metabolism in general, which was the impetus behind the experiment we did, we're looking at drug metabolism in general, not just minocycline.
Right. Well, but for purposes of this, minocycline is the focus, correct?
Well, the minocycline is the extrapolation. It's not the focus per se. What we're looking at is his genetic background. We're trying to answer whether he is a normal metabolizer. That's the point. Whether his ability to metabolize minocycline properly is not answered by this particular experiment. There's a whole lot more that we have to do to be able to answer that question. But
So-
it addresses whether his genetic makeup has any flags that we need to look at in terms of drug metabolism in general.
Okay. In general.
Correct.
And one of the things that you note in your report is that minocycline is not among those drugs evaluated by it's not among those 275 drugs because so far there are no known genetic variations that have been directly associated with adverse responses to the drug.
Correct. It is not studied that well enough to be able to tell you whether some of these variations are going to directly impact that drug. What we know is that that drug is metabolized by P450, by that subcomponent in particular. That's the extent of our knowledge. And in my view, that is a lot of paucity of information. We can continue to look at this drug for years and years to come in correlation with variations in the human genome. We're just not there yet.
And would it be fair to say, I mean, based on your research, that if there were common adverse responses to this drug, they would be studied?
Great question. So sometimes people focus on, a particular question because they start seeing, cases upon cases manifesting an issue, which drives, the impetus to do more research.
And that doesn't seem to be the case here, does it?
Correct. This is not something that people are paying attention to or researching actively. It doesn't mean that it won't come to light in the future.
Well, and so I guess at the end of the day, I think you summed it up and you said there's a lot that we don't know, that you need a lot more testing, and it sounds like you're not really able to say that this defendant has a particular genetic makeup that would lead him to not be able to process minocycline.
What I'm able to say is that he does have a deficiency. He does have a genetic deficiency. That's clear from his results.
In
That could-
processing some protein.
Right, and processing some forms of medications. Whether minocycline is directly impacted by his genetic background is going to require quite a bit of more research.
Okay, and that's an answer we don't know, or that's a question we don't know the answer to.
Correct.
Thank you. No further questions.
Thank you.
Ms. Manette?
Yes. Dr. Nardine, I want to jump to the World Health Organization study that you mentioned. On page 3 of your report, did you note that they noted that there were 40 cases characterized as depersonalization or derealization disorders
Yes,
as a side effect of this medication?
correct.
Okay. Would you say that personalized medicine and the understanding of the role genetics play in how a medicine affects your body is kind of cutting edge at this point?
It is, and it has been for the past few years. And it's going to only become more and more relevant and relied upon with time. I mean, doctors now are fully aware that your genetic makeup needs to be looked at before they prescribe medicine. Is that available to everybody? Is that being done in every patient? No. But I think we're heading in that direction.
And so your belief is that this science is going to evolve rapidly over time. Is that right?
Oh, with AI, absolutely. I mean, this is basically prime for how we look at disease we look at medicine, is being to be able to sort of compile all this, information out there to treat patients. Yes, I think the next 5 to 10 years are going to be incredible.
So the state asked you a lot about what we don't know about how minocycline is metabolized in the human body, right? But what we do know is the P450 unit plays a large role in how medicines are metabolized, right?
Critical role, yes.
Critical role. And that generally the subunits involved in those processes work in some sort of synergistic way.
Yes, I don't mean only synergistic, they can be antagonistic as well. But, there's some form of interplay between them that is extremely complex.
And Austin demonstrated several intermediate subunits on that complex, is that right?
Correct.
And one that he had a complete loss of function on, is that right?
Correct.
And so those are the things that we do know at this stage, is that right?
Correct.
Would you call that a red flag about his potential metabolism of medications?
Yes, in fact, the report goes on and iterates which medication his doctors need to sort of look at. I mean, we're talking about minocycline, but his 200 and some report, 200, how many pages? I'm sorry, 75-page report, iterated each and every one of these medications and whether a treating physician needs to take notice for that particular. And he has many medications that doctors have to be aware that he may not be a good metabolizer of those medicines.
And that is because he's got these deficiencies in his genetic makeup on metabolism of drugs. Is that
Correct.
fair?
Yes, and they link each medicine to a particular subunit because there has been enough studies to link that genetic variant to this particular manifestation. Minocycline is not one of them. It's not one of those looked at in this report.
Thank you. No further questions.
Nothing further, Your Honor.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Thank you.
Further evidence for the defense?
Yes, Your Honor. The defense would call Erica Peterson.
Your Honor, may I approach while that witness is approaching?
Erica is with a K.
Good morning, Ms. Peterson.
Good morning.
Place your left hand on the Bible, raise your right, face Madam Clerk.
Do you solemnly swear the testimony you give the court will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God? I do. Thank you, may be seated.
Hi, Ms. Brown. Could you please say and spell your name for the court reporter?
Yes, and you just refer to me as Brown. That
I'm
was my
sorry.
name at the time that I was Austin's teacher. I am now Erica Peterson.
I'm sorry, I corrected
That's
one
okay.
place, but not another. Erica Peterson, can you spell that, please?
Yes, Peterson is with an S-E-N, so Peter and then S-E-N.
And Erica?
E-R-I-K-A.
Thank you. And you just mentioned that you were Austin's teacher.
Yes,
Are you a teacher now?
I am still a teacher, yes.
Where do you teach?
I teach outside of Nashville in a town called Franklin, Tennessee.
And when did you teach Austin Thompson?
I taught him for the 2012-2013 school year. I was his kindergarten teacher.
And how many kids were in that class?
Around 20.
And have you taught your whole career?
I was a career changer, so I started teaching when I was 27. So I started teaching in 2007, so almost 20 years.
And so over the years, how many students have you had?
Oh, a lot. Hundreds.
So do you remember Austin Thompson?
I do remember Austin, yes.
Do you remember every student that you had?
I would probably have to recall, but not off the top of my head.
But did you remember Austin off the top of your head?
I did, yes.
Why is that?
He was just a cute little peanut in kindergarten. I typically remember all of my kindergarten students. They are just young and fun.
And can you tell me a little about what you remember about Austin Thompson from that kindergarten?
Yeah, like I said, he was very small. I'm very tall, so they're all small, but he was smaller than your average kindergarten student. He just always had a cute little smile with some teeth missing, and he had a little bit of a lisp, so he was really cute.
Do you remember, if you remember from back then, what kinds of things was he into?
Drawing, playing.
Like most little boys?
Yes, yeah.
And Miss Peterson, if I may approach your honor.
Yes.
Miss Peterson, I am handing you what I have marked as Defendant's Exhibit 12. Do you recognize that?
I do.
What is that?
That is my class picture from that school year, my kindergarten class, individual, and then at the bottom it's a class of all of us together.
Is it from a yearbook?
Yes, this is the yearbook page for my class.
And this is from Austin's year?
It is.
And is his individual picture there?
It is.
And is the group picture there as well?
It is.
Your Honor, at this time I move to admit Defendant's Exhibit 12.
Any objection?
No, just if you could tell us which one is the
The
class
yearbook,
picture.
yeah. I saw you just count.
I did 21 students.
21 students.
I was off by one.
I'm going to hand you another picture.
Okay.
What is that? That's Defendant's Exhibit 13. What is that?
That is a picture of Austin that I took on my cell phone that I found on Shutterfly.
So it's just a picture of him from that year?
It is. I would take class pictures of all of them individually. In kindergarten, you do a lot of things by picture instead of name. So you would post like a little cutout of their face. So I would take pictures on my cell phone and then put them up in the classroom for like lunch count, slide your picture over.
Your Honor, at this time I'd move to admit Defendant's Exhibit 13.
No objection.
Your Honor, I'm going to hand these up as I won't be displaying them. Okay, Ms. Peterson, can you tell me about Austin from an academic perspective?
Yeah, I don't remember him struggling at all. A lot of times kindergartners will come in. There's such a wide range in kindergarten. You get kids who are already reading and people who don't know how to read and haven't been exposed to letters and letter sounds. And he came in with a good foundation. I remember that.
And how did he get along with other students in the class?
This was, looking back at this photo, this was actually one of the sweetest classes I've ever had student-wise. Seeing their faces brings a smile to my face. So he got along really well with everybody. I've had years where I can say that that isn't true, but it was a very sweet class. And I remember him like not having problems with anybody.
And Ms. Peterson, as a kindergarten teacher, are you on the lookout for any issues or problems with your students?
Absolutely. As a teacher of any grade I am. That's part of our duty as a teacher. And absolutely.
And what kinds of things are you on the lookout for?
Just anything like emotional, academic, red flags, things they tell me. Just looking for a well-rounded, making sure that everybody's safe at home too.
Was there ever any concern that you had about Austin Thompson in any of those categories?
No. And if so, I would have said something.
At some point, did you become aware that he was accused of this mass shooting?
Yes, many of my coworkers, since I live in Nashville now, had texted me.
What came to your mind when that happened?
Shocked.
Your Honor, may I approach one more time?
Yes.
I am handing you what I have marked as Defendant's Exhibit 14. What is that?
That is a report card for Wake County Public Schools.
And is it for Austin?
Yes, it is.
And is it from the year that you taught him?
It is.
So would you have prepared this report card?
Yes.
Your Honor, at this time I move to admit Defendant's Exhibit 14.
Any objection?
No, Your Honor.
Ms. Peterson, the marks on that report card, do they indicate that he was academically on par with everything?
Absolutely.
And if you move to the second page where the comments are, can you review those comments and just read semester 1 and then semester 2?
Yes. Do you want me to read the strengths and then
Yes.
areas for improvement? Okay, for semester 1, strengths and comments. Austin is making good progress.
I need you to slow down.
Oh, yeah, I can do that. Strengths and comments. Austin is making good progress. He knows at least 25 sight words and knows all of his letters and sounds. Austin counts and recognizes numbers to 100 by ones and tens. He knows all his 2D shapes and can sort shapes into 2D and 3D groupings. He gives great details in his drawings. Areas for improvement. I would love to see Austin start using punctuation and capitals in appropriate places. Also adding more details to his writing. He needs assistance with consistently identifying 2 3D shapes, sphere and cylinder. Keep up the good work and reading each night. And then it says interventions, small groups. That was for semester 1.
And what does it say for semester 2?
Semester 2, strengths and comments. Austin has continued to thrive throughout this year. He has excelled in reading and is reading and applying 131 sight words and reading above grade level. It has been wonderful having Austin in my class. I am sure he will do well in first grade next year. Have a wonderful summer.
And what does it say about things to improve?
Areas for improvement. Austin should continue reading at least 20 minutes each day throughout the summer. I encourage him to keep a summer journal to continue practice writing, practice addition and subtraction, math facts for fluency in the first grade.
And Ms. Peterson, is there some sort of kind of teacher code where you might sometimes put a comment that is an alert to a future teacher to look out for something?
Absolutely. We have our ways of saying things for sure.
Can you give me an example?
Well, first of all, I don't see any of that in here. I was direct and said continue to thrive. I wouldn't have said that he was thriving if he wasn't. But yeah, like if someone is, too talkative, you would code it politely in a nice way. But I don't see any of that. That would be an example.
No further questions, Your Honor.
Cross-examination.
No, Your Honor.
Thank you, Ms.
Okay.
Mason.
Thank you.
Have a good day. Mr. Latour, you want to use correspondence?
Further evidence.
Thank you. At this time, we would call Neil Gallagher to the stand.
Good morning, Mr. Gallagher.
Morning.
Place your left hand on the Bible, raise your right, face Madam Clerk.
Do you solemnly swear the testimony you give the court will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. You may be seated.
Mr. Gallagher, when you get a chance, can you introduce yourself to the court, please? Spell your first and last name.
My name is Neil Gallagher. First name Neil, Neal. Last name Gallagher, Gallagher.
And Mr. Gallagher, what do you do for a living now?
I'm a realtor right now.
Okay. And were you employed as a teacher?
What was your answer?
Realtor?
Were you a teacher at some point in your career?
Yes.
And how long did you teach?
I taught with Wake County for 11 years.
And what schools were you a teacher at?
I was a teacher for 7 years at Wendell Middle and for 4 years at Riverbend Middle.
And what grades did you teach?
6, 7, and 8, I was a middle school art teacher.
And you said you were a teacher from 2010 to 2021, is that right?
Yes, sir.
So you left teaching before this event occurred.
Correct.
Nothing about what Austin did had any effect on your teaching career.
No, sir.
Was Austin ever a student in any of your classes?
He was a student in all 3 of my grade level classes for 6th, 7th, and 8th grade.
And in 6th grade, what subject did you teach him?
It's beginners or introduction to art. So we essentially went over just your basic art concepts and skills throughout the semester.
And then what about in 7th grade?
Was drawing and painting.
What was the curriculum like in those?
For which one?
For both.
For both. A lot of your introductory classes for 6th grade were talking about line, shape, value, painting, and how color works. And for 7th grade, we delved a little more into painting itself and how to create value and shading. And then we did the same as well on the drawing aspect of those 2.
And then what did you teach him in 8th grade?
Pottery and sculpture. So it was more of a 3-dimensional curriculum in that respect, where instead of 2D, which painting and drawing are, it was more 3-dimensional.
Were they actually like sculpting pottery and stuff?
Yes, sir.
How was Austin's behavior in class? If you want to go year by year, if you want to say in general.
All 3 years he was not a problem child. He was very quiet. He sat where he was assigned to sit. He sat where he was assigned to sit. Never gave any real issues, whether it be personally or just distracting other kids was never an issue with him.
Do you remember how many students you had in the classes?
6th and 7th grade, 6th grade tended to be about maybe 15 to 20. 7th grade was a little more, between the 20 and 25. And then 8th grade always was the lower amount, between probably 8 to 12.
In these classes, was there a lot of collaborative work, or was it more individual?
In each grade level, there was at least one assignment that was collaborative, whether it be between 2 students or a group of 3 to 4. But there was at least one assignment for each grade level.
Do you remember how Austin did in those group projects?
Offhand, not particularly. I'm pretty confident in saying that he pulled his weight, but I don't know that it was one of those that he just did everything or that he just sat back and let everybody else do it.
Did he actively participate in class? As much as
Not
he did in
particularly.
class?
More or less stayed quiet. Even when questions were asked, I can't recall him being the first one to put his hand up.
Was he quiet in general?
Yes, sir.
Did he appear to have any interest in art or the arts?
Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, my recollection is he did well in the class itself, in all 3 classes. He showed interest and gave very good effort toward the assignments that were given to him.
And as a part of at least one of them, maybe all the classes, did you give the students sketchbooks?
Yes, correct.
Can you tell us about what that was for?
So the sketchbooks themselves were one of the culmination assignments where they were supposed to keep working in it continuously throughout the semester. It was used as a way to get them to just keep working on their skill set of drawing and creating. And it was an assignment that they could draw whatever they wanted, but it was also an assignment where, as they were given us projects, they had to do their brainstorming within that sketchbook itself. So those sketches counted counted toward their final grade at the end of the semester.
Do you recall what Austin would typically draw in his sketchbook?
Yeah, I mean, I do. He would do the assignments themselves. He had drawn weapons and things of that nature, depending or associated more or less with the video games that were big during that time frame. PUBG and was one of the phone games, and Fortnite, I think, as well.
Those are like battle royale type.
Yeah, they're first-person shoot-'em games.
Were those games popular, if you know, with the other boys in the class?
Yeah, for sure.
Was Austin the only one drawing guns?
No,
things
not
like
at
those
all.
Games?
Mm.
Did Austin ever draw any pictures of violence or killing?
Not that I can recall, no.
Mainly just the guns that you could use in the video games. Did his drawings raise any red flags for you or give you pause?
No, no. It was a common occurrence, if you would.
Was there anything in the 3 years that you taught Austin that would make you think he would be capable of doing something like he did?
Oh, absolutely not. Not at all.
Nothing further. Thank you, Mr. Gallagher.
Thank you.
Cross-examination, Bush.
The sketchbooks, Mr. Gallagher, that you talked about, are those books that when you assigned them, they knew that they had to turn those in at the end of the year?
Yes, they knew I looked them through, and I counted the sketches, and then at the very end of the year when we do a classroom clean out, they have an option of either taking it with them or throwing it out, or if they left it behind, I would go through, and if there was any usable pages left, I would tear out what was used and save the sketchbooks for kids who couldn't afford one the next semester.
Right. So when you gave it out, they knew that you were going to review whatever work that they presented you at the end of the semester.
Correct.
Okay. And you described him as he stayed quiet?
Yeah. Now, I mean, he might have a little conversation with somebody next to him, but he wasn't overtly social, if you will.
No other questions, Your Honor?
No, thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Yes, Your Honor. The defense calls Chelsea Mulholland.
Good morning, Mrs. Mulholland. Place your left hand on the Bible, raise your right, face Madam Clerk.
You solemnly swear the testimony you give the court will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you, may be seated.
Good morning, Ms. Mulholland.
Good morning.
Could you please say and spell your name for the court reporter?
Chelsea Mulholland. Chelsie. Mulholland. Mulholland.
And Ms. Mulholland, what do you do for a living?
I'm currently a high school teacher. English.
English high school teacher. And do you know Austin?
Yes.
How do you know Austin?
When I taught at Knightdale High School in Knightdale, North Carolina, he was in my freshman and my sophomore English classes.
Ms. Mulholland, can you tell me what goes on in a high school English class?
We spend a lot of time with, I always tell the kids, I'm teaching you how to think for yourself. So, yeah, you're not going to need Romeo and Juliet in real life, but can you figure out what somebody's saying when they're not being direct about it? Because nobody understands what Shakespeare's saying the first time through. So we look at poetry, we look at novels, we look at informational texts, we look at short stories, all kinds of things, trying to look at a variety of different things, expose ourselves to a variety of different materials, different literature, different time periods, different kinds of people, that kind of thing.
And Ms. Mulholland, I am going to ask you to slow down just a little bit.
Oh, I'm sorry.
For our court reporter. And so would you say that in your class there were a lot of discussions that happened?
Yes.
About a variety of topics?
Yes.
And your goal was to help kids learn how to analyze text?
Yes, that's correct.
Tell me what you remember about Austin from the freshman year.
So freshman year, freshmen are always kind of squirrely, I guess. They are trying to figure out what kind of person they're going to be, how they want to present themselves. I remember him being not a disruption, but not necessarily like withdrawn. So having friends, but also already having the maturity to know when to have personal social time and when to not. Does that make sense?
So he wasn't a behavior issue, is that?
Correct. In a class full of behavior issues. He was not one.
And as you had discussions that freshman year in Austin's class, what do you remember about Austin's contributions?
I remember, ninth grade is a little harder to remember than 10th, but I do remember that whenever he made contributions that they were helpful or contributed to the class like in a meaningful way. I remember he was very good at asking clarifying questions. And he liked to push back a little bit. So like I'd say something and he'd be like, what if? So, and sometimes he had stuff that I hadn't thought of before, and other times I was like, see where you're going with that, and here's why we're not quite on the right path.
So it sounds like he engaged actively.
Yes.
Did he seem to enjoy the class?
It seems so. It's hard to tell because English is usually not anybody's favorite class. They're all come in, I hate reading, and I hate reading, and I hate reading. And I'm like, that's fine, I don't care. And you're going to do it. But it, it didn't, I wasn't the obvious least favorite, I guess.
As Austin became a sophomore, and he showed up on your roster again, what did you think when you saw his name?
So usually I get excited when I see kids the second time, right? There's very few kids where they show up and I'm like, oh no, right? And so he was one where I saw him on there and I was like, cool, we got a routine, we got a system, excited, nothing, no negative feelings.
And did you notice any change in Austin sophomore year?
Mostly it's the standard, like going from the freshman squirrely wiggliness to like the, okay, I know how to do this. We're in high school now, we're grown-ups, we're, kind of like that adjustment, like, and you see that in most of them. So that's the primary change. He was still engaging, he still had the cognitive ability to be like, now's a good time to have a conversation and now's not a good time to have a conversation, kind of thing. Still engaging, still pushing back sometimes when I'd say stuff, the stuff I like.
We have heard some testimony about Austin trying to play video games during class. Was that something that you experienced with him?
I permitted students, if they had finished the work for me and didn't have anything missing. Our school had this program called Fast Friday, where if you had an A or a B in all of your classes, you got elective free, go home early or go to the gym and play basketball or whatever. I think they had video games in the library or something. So most of the time, if a kid had a video game up, I was like, all right, show me that you're done. Okay, now pull up your online grade book and show me that you're not missing anything. All right, have fun. Make sure that the volume's turned off and don't distract your friends, right? And so I never really paid attention to which games they were because the school usually blocks, anything wildly inappropriate. So if I noticed him playing video games, it would have been like more of, okay, are you done? Show me you did today's thing. Show me you're not missing anything. That kind of vibe. Less of like, what game are you playing?
And was Austin ever a problem in his playing video games? Was he ever not done with his work or anything like that?
I'm sure, being a teenager, that there were times when he'd be like, oh, I didn't realize I was missing the thing, and he'd go do it. I can't remember anything specific, so nothing sticks out. Whereas I had some kids who were always trying to play a video game and not do English, and so those are the kids, I was like, I'm gonna hold that Chromebook for a while. I can't remember Austin being in that group.
So you would actually take some kids' Chromebooks because they couldn't keep their phones?
Or you stick it in their backpack, zip the bag, and be like, no more, kind of thing.
But you don't remember ever doing that with Austin? And did you ever have to reach out to his parents over any issue?
Not that I remember.
Ms. Mulholland, I'm going to ask a question that I don't think teachers get directly asked very often. Did you like Austin?
I like most of my students.
So he was in your class when this happened, is that right?
Correct.
When did you find out?
So I don't remember the exact date, but we had school the day before, came to school, full day of class. Everybody goes home at dismissal. The next morning I come in, I'm taking attendance. I believe he's in my first period. And he's not there. And we'd obviously heard about the event on the news in the vague, sensational way the news does. And I was like, oh, Austin's not here. That's weird because he's usually here. And moved on with our day. I had sent an email to my department head about one of the texts we were supposed to be reading, about how I didn't think it was serving my students and I was going to stop after a certain point. And my department head came to my classroom at the end of first period and said, very non-comfortingly, hi, Ms. Mulholland, I need you for a minute. This person's going to stand in your room with your kids for the next couple of minutes. Which is always like oh no, I'm in trouble. And they pulled me out in the hallway, and that was when they told me, you heard about the thing that happened? Yes, I did. The person who did it wasn't your class, it was Austin. We're not telling the kids yet. So, we're telling the other teachers, we told you first because it's in your first period, we're going to go tell second, third, and fourth in order. And then, we'll come back or come see me when class is actually over and we'll talk some more. And then, I have to go through the rest of the day with the kids speculating. And the kids, I wonder what happened, da-da-da-da-da-da. And I'm just, shut it down. No, you don't talk about stuff you don't know. Stop. We'll find out when the news tells us stuff.
What went through your head when you heard he was the one who had done this?
At first, it's like shock and awe. It's the whole, this never happens. The likelihood of knowing someone who had done something newsworthy like that just is not, it's not believable. It's just surprising or shocking. There was no part of me that was like, saw that coming. There was no part of me that was like, okay. It was all very much, are you sure? Are we positive? Are we sure? Like, it was a lot of that, like, disbelief, the shock, no, that's not it. Different person. Different person. Had to be a different person.
So, he was in your first period on October 13th, the day this happened.
Correct. I guess, yeah. The 13th we came to school and then it happened that evening, yes. Sorry.
Did you notice anything that morning? Anything different about him?
No.
Your Honor, may I approach?
Yes.
I am handing you what I have marked as Defendant's Exhibit 15. Do you recognize that?
Yes, ma'am.
And what is it?
It is a flash drive, I assume with classwork on it.
And why do you make that assumption?
You showed me this earlier with the classwork on it, and it has my initials still.
And is it classwork he did during the 2 years he was in your class?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. Your Honor, at this time I move to admit Defendant's Exhibit 15.
Any objection?
I may have 1 second, Your Honor.
on the screen, Your Honor. Now, Ms. Mulholland, do you have a copy printed out on paper in front of you?
I do.
If it's easier to reference that, you can, but we're going to follow along up here.
Yes, ma'am.
So in 2021, that would have been his freshman year, is that right?
Correct.
What is this piece of paper that we're looking at?
So that is a student survey about me that I have the students fill out on the first day of class. I still use a very similar version. I've made some modifications. But at the time that I was at Nightdale, I used this one all 3 years that I was there.
And so you used it also in 2022?
Yes.
Go to the next slide. And is this the one that he did in 2022?
Yes, sir.
And we can go to the next slide. So are these the two of them side by side?
Yes, ma'am.
And the one on the left is from when he was a freshman?
Correct, yeah. He wrote marker and I told him not to.
So he was not supposed to write in marker?
They always want to grab random things. I think it was, I have these like name tags that are dry erase, and they're always trying to write with the dry erase markers on paper, and I'm like, stop, you'll ruin it. So that's most likely what was going on.
So in his freshman year, as he filled out this All About Me first day of school survey, can you walk me through what he sort of said to the different questions?
Yeah, so some of the questions are just kind of filler questions to get them started. If you hand somebody a blank sheet of paper, they get nervous and don't want to do it. So, we started at the top with easy stuff, like what's your name, and then what do you want me to call you, for Jonathans who go by John. What class period are we in, when's your birthday, favorite colors, things that are pretty easy to do. We move into like hobbies and interests and those kinds of things. And he said play games, right? And then I like to ask who students live with, just because I have found that not everybody lives in a, two parents and a sibling kind of household. And that way too, I know when I'm talking to them how to reference their family situation, their home situation. I find a lot of students leave the one about like, what do you like to read? They leave that one blank. Not realizing that like TikTok and Instagram have words on them that you're reading. And then the ones that I really like to look at are greatest accomplishments, the grade they want to earn, and then like kind of the bottom half, I guess. And so whenever a lot of kids, especially ninth graders, when I'm like, what's your biggest accomplishment? They're like, I don't know, I'm 14, I don't know, I'm here. But then if you look at his 10th grade year, his biggest accomplishment was getting to the 10th grade. So he's at ITK his freshman year, and then 10th grade year, getting to the 10th grade, like making it to the 10th grade, which is an accomplishment for some kids. And then he said his favorite subject, right, freshman year, he said it was PE, and then sophomore year, he said it was history, which, PE is either your favorite or your least favorite, depending on how kind of person you are. But for a ninth grade boy, that's pretty standard. But for it to be a real class in 10th grade, I feel like shows some growth. And then what he expected to earn, his ninth grade year, he said he wanted to B because he didn't want to put in the effort for an A. But then in 10th grade, he said he would earn an A because he knew that he should, that he knew that he could. And to me, that's like, I can do this. I don't, kind of vibe. And then I like what can I do to make you successful? And then what do you need to be successful? And he didn't know freshman year. He's like, I guess a lot of kids are like, I don't know what I need from a teacher. They're like, I don't know. I have some kids, right? Like, tell me the answers. I'm like, that's not how this works. But then if you look at sophomore year, he said he needed me to answer his questions, and that he would be successful as long as I was answering the questions he asked. And so I think that too shows some growth of like, he knows he's getting better at asking for what he needs. And I like seeing that growth in students, because this was a school where I taught a bunch of the same kids 9th and 10th grade, and seeing that growth from, I don't know, I just need a passing grade, to if I ask questions, I need the answer, like I need you to help. And then like knowing they have to ask for help. Because that tells me not just, well, the teacher's here to help me, but it tells me that they know they have to ask for that help.
So it sounds to me like you do a lot of work to try to foster growth across the board for your kids. Is that fair?
Yes.
And you monitor for that sometimes in using the same assignments multiple years?
Yes, ma'am.
If we could go to the next slide. What are we seeing? Now, this is 2021, so that we're back to freshman year. What are we seeing on this slide?
So this was an assignment where students chose, I think it was a novel, it might have been a short story, and they had to pick a novel or short story where the main character, had some obvious difference from them. So a male student could pick a novel with a female protagonist, or a student who identified as straight could pick a novel where the main character identified as not straight. That kind of vibe, right? And then the goal of it was to, because we were talking a lot about identity and like where your identity comes from, but also trying to foster that whole, yeah, our identities are different, but we can find common ground. And so I don't remember which novel or short story he picked, but it appears the main character was female. And so he was able to list the things that he and her and she had in like separate, and they're pretty standard things, right? That the girl in the story drank alcohol and he hadn't at that point. That she was an immigrant and he was not. That she's from she's Iranian and he's American. Those kinds of things. But the thing I was really looking for here were the similarities, because that was the goal, was to be able to identify similarities, not just differences. And so he picked up on things like they're both in high school, they both identified as straight, they both lived in America, and they both had married parents who were still together. And so and there was an additional, I think there was something else we had to do with this where they had to look for something else. But this was kind of the first step to it. And so we talked about okay, you found more differences than similarities, and then we go back and we talk about looking for similarities, things that are less surface level.
And so this was a pretty individualized assignment.
Yeah.
Is that right? We could go to the next slide. So what are we looking at? And it's hard to see on the edge over here, but this says 2021, so back to freshman year. What are we looking at on this piece of paper here and onto here?
So this is another assignment that I reuse year after year. It's a poem called "Did I Miss Anything?" And it's very sarcastic. It's supposed to sound like a conversation between a frustrated teacher and a student, and the student asks the standard, "What did I miss yesterday?" kind of question, and the teacher doesn't respond helpfully with do page 12 in the textbook, but with silly things like nothing, we don't do anything when you're not here, or everything, the angels ascended from heaven and gave us all our purpose in life. It runs the gamut. And the part of it is it leads me into talking about how to do missing assignments and turn in late work and that kind of thing. Don't ask me to miss anything. Here's what you need to do, right? And if you're confused, then you ask me questions about specific assignments or tasks. But it also helps lead into talking about tone and mood, because the tone is very sarcastic coming from the teacher or the responder. And we also get to talk about perspectives, but then it kind of leads into talking about theme and message down at the bottom, the final question.
And you said you work on it year after year. Do you ask similar questions in this category here?
Yeah, I modify the questions a little bit from one year to the next, just because we look for different things, different years. Ninth grade, we're talking a lot about tone and vocabulary, and then by 10th grade, it's more of you should already identify tone. Let's go to the next level, next step.
And so was this Austin's submission of those questions for his 10th grade year?
Yes, ma'am.
If you could go to the next slide. So you mentioned that the questions are slightly different, but there's still a lot of overlap. Is that right?
The final question is usually the same.
And so the first question is, who is asking the question in the title?
Correct.
And it's pretty much the same for both years. Is that right?
Yeah, that was kind of the gimme one.
Can you talk me through his answers from year to year?
Yeah, so if you look at, the first year I just asked who's asking the question in the title. But then the second year, the question is who's asking the question in the title and how do you know? Because we're looking at text evidence, right? So the first year, he gave me the right answer both times, saying that it's a student who had been absent. But then the second year, he's telling me the teacher is not going to ask a student what they missed because they weren't there, right? Like, he's using his logic. So yeah.
Coming down to that last question, which I think is the same in both.
I believe so, yeah.
What is the overall message of this poem? How do you know? Explain it to me. Can you look at those two answers and walk me through the differences between his freshman and sophomore year?
Yeah, you can tell just visually that the answer is longer his sophomore year, that he's added more detail. And again, he had the right answer both times based on what I was looking for. But if you look at his freshman year, he says, the overall message of the poem is to be present in class. When you're not present, nothing significant can occur. And if you're not in class, no classwork, no quizzes, no tests can get done. Right? And so what most of the kids meant when they said nothing significant can occur is they're like, you're not here to learn. Like, you can't learn whatever it is we did. Yeah, you can do the assignment, but you can't. Like, you missed whatever the conversation was. And then his sophomore year, like I said, it's much longer. He still got the same vibe, right? The overall message of the poem is that students need to go to class and go to school and not miss school. It's because he says, take as many days off as you like. Activities we undertake as a class, I assure you, will not matter.
Wait.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Can you start over after the not miss school?
I think this is because he says, take as many days off as you like. Any activities we undertake, okay, as a class, I assure you, will not matter either to you or to me, and are without purpose. In stanza 3, which means he's being sarcastic, and the value does not have meaning, and you should come to school. So he's getting much better at using his text evidence. He's getting better at picking up on the tone, telling that it's sarcastic, figuring out that the important part of school is the conversations and the interactions.
You can go to the next slide. And Ms. Mulholland, did you regularly do sort of prompts where the kids had to make responses every day?
Yeah, so we did it on a 2-week rotation. We'd do 2 weeks of journals and 2 weeks of grammar, and the grammar was sentences from their journal responses.
And so is this, now the date down here is 2022, so we're into sophomore year. Is this a journal response that Austin did for one of those weeks?
Yes.
And I want to look specifically at what's here in the purple. Can you tell me, the question here is, what is empathy? And what does it mean to you, and how does someone show empathy to others? Could you read Austin's response?
Yes. He said, and I gave them the option to also look it up. They just had to tell me where they got their definition from. And so he started with, the Google Dictionary definition is the ability to understand and share the feelings of another. I think the reason empathy is the trait for August and September is for people to be more kind to each other. Empathy to me means to be nice to other people and understand their feelings. Someone shows empathy to others by being kind to others. People can also show empathy by not being rude to other people and by making their day better.
I'm done. Ms. Mulholland, is that on par with what you would expect from a 10th grade student?
It's the first half of it, the dictionary definition and people need to be more kind is pretty standard. But the last line, people show empathy by not being rude and making each other's day better, it's pretty sweet. It's it shows a little bit of that maturity that I've talked about, of it's not just be nice, but it's also don't actively try to make somebody's day worse. So,
It's a little bit of a standout.
yeah.
No further questions.
Cross-examination.
If I may have a second, Your Honor.
Yes.
Ms. Mulholland, so you taught Austin English, correct?
Correct.
You generally would say he was a good kid
Yes.
while you were dealing with him. And you were surprised that he had killed so many people and shot the others. Fair?
Yes.
And I think you said your response was, no, not him. Got to be somebody else, right?
Correct.
But you know now that it was him,
Correct.
right? You talked a little bit about the video games in the classroom that the students were taking or would play, and that as long as they got their work done, you didn't really give them a hard time. Is that fair?
Correct.
And Austin knew that, right?
Correct.
So Austin got his work done,
Mm-hmm.
and then would play video games.
Yes.
Okay. And you didn't look to see what video games they were.
Not particularly.
Okay. And then you kind of went through some schoolwork just now that Austin had performed for you. Is that fair?
Yes.
And he said that he wanted to get a B because he just didn't want to put the effort in to get an A.
Yeah.
Okay. And the last, is this, some of this has handwriting on it. Is this typical of Austin's handwriting both years?
Yeah.
Not the best handwriting?
It's not the worst. I can read it. I can read all those words. But yeah, it did look the same both years.
He's not writing in calligraphy.
No.
I mean, it's bad handwriting. It may not be the worst, but it's not clean handwriting. There's a lot of scribbled out words and marks on there. Fair?
I like seeing the crossed out words because it shows that they're thinking about what they wrote and they're going back.
Didn't ask you that, ma'am. I asked
I'm sorry.
if there are scribbled out words and if this is not clean handwriting.
Yes, there are scribbled out words.
Okay. In fact, there may be a misspelled word in there somewhere. Fair?
Yeah.
Okay. It's not uncommon for people, even when they're in a calm situation and doing schoolwork, to misspell a word. They're young and they're learning, right?
Correct.
And your job is to correct them and teach them and say, hey, you misspelled this. Especially as an English teacher.
Yeah.
Right? And one of the things that you all studied, and it's kind of mentioned on that last page of the slide, was Oedipus, correct?
Yes.
And the defendant made some comments about Oedipus being a victim of fate, correct? Which is a response to the prompt that you made. Mm-hmm. And his response was that Oedipus was a victim of free will because he killed his dad in road rage, which he did not have to do, correct?
Yes.
And Oedipus took the throne and was king, which he chose, correct?
Yep.
And Oedipus married his mother, which is what he chose to do, correct?
Yep.
And Oedipus kept looking out for who the real parents were, Oedipus kept looking for who his real parents are, and he did not have to, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Oedipus stabbed his eyes out so he would not have to see his parents in the afterlife, which he did not have to do, correct?
Mm-hmm.
So he's talking about the understanding of what you have to do and what you don't have to do, fair?
Mm-hmm.
And talking about this concept of free will, is that
Yeah.
fair?
Mm-hmm.
And seems to understand the concept pretty well.
Yeah. We'd spent a lot of time talking about it.
Right. And so you did a good job teaching that idea, fair?
Yeah.
All right. And in this regard, he's answering your prompt about someone being as he referred to them, a victim of free will. Is that fair?
Yes.
Okay. No further questions, Your Honor.
Ms. Burnett?
No, Your Honor, no further questions.
Thank you, ma'am. We'll take a 15-minute recess. And then resume in about 20 minutes till the hour.
Yes, Your Honor. Supreme Court being recessed 15 minutes.
Yes, Your Honor. At this time, we call Ms. Darcy Ross to the stand.
What was that name, counsel?
Darcy Ross, D-A-R-C-I-E Ross.
Good morning, Ms. Darcy Ross. Place your left hand on the Bible, raise your right, face Madam Clerk.
You solemnly swear the testimony you give the court will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God.
I do.
Thank you. Be seated.
Thank you, Your Honor. Good morning, Ms. Ross.
Good morning.
All right, I just have a couple of questions for you. Can you introduce yourself to the court, please?
My name is Darcy Ross. I work at Cumberland Juvenile Detention Center.
And Ms. Ross, has your general counsel advised me to ask the court that you be ordered to answer questions because you may have privileged and confidential information?
Yes, sir.
Mr. Thompson?
That's correct.
So ordered.
Thank you, ma'am. So what do you do on a day-to-day basis?
Well, I'm direct care staff, so I work on the floor with the juveniles. So I work second shift. So when we come in, we're responsible for meals, medication, rec time, visitation, telephone calls to the parents and the family, and just ensuring their safety and security while they're in our custody.
Thank you. And second shift, what time is that?
3 p.m. to 11 p.m.
And how long have you been working at that Cumberland County facility?
3.5 years.
And do you enjoy it there?
Yes, I do.
And I know you walked us through your day-to-day tasks that you do. Do you have like a typical schedule that you follow as far as doing those tasks?
To the best that we can, but in an environment like that, nothing's going to go the same from day to day.
Got it. And have you had I want to say got to know Austin Thompson, but have you been working at that facility the entire time that Austin Thompson has been there?
Yes.
And you said, but are you the behavioral specialist at the jail? And specifically, what does that mean?
I guess basically trained into de-escalation, a lot of counseling. Of course, most of the juveniles are emotional when they come in there, so I talk with them, help them work out their emotions. If they're having altercations with another juvenile, kind of just de-escalate any potentially explosive situations.
And are you also responsible for the status and classification of the residents while they're there?
As in, what do you mean?
Okay. Do the kids there have different status levels?
Yeah, they have different levels. So all the staff is responsible for that. So any staff working can write a behavioral summary, negative or positive, can deduct a level if need be.
Gotcha. So we're three officers being responsible for it. All of them are responsible for it.
Yeah.
Tell me about those different statuses and classifications at your facility.
So when you first come in, you come in on bronze. So that's just your basic level. You don't get any extra privileges in the facility. And you're that way for about 2 weeks. And then you move up to silver. And for silver, you get extra time on the phone. We have MP3 players on second shift they can listen to. And they get canteen on Fridays. And then you go up to gold. In 3 weeks from that, you go to gold. And then you get all those privileges, but an extra phone call, an extra visit, and you can use the Nintendo Switch.
What was the last one?
Nintendo Switch.
And we've heard a lot about video games.
Yes,
Is
sir.
our video games still utilized as a tool in your facility?
I wouldn't call it a tool. It's an incentive to show them, a lot of negative behaviors and negative perceptions they come in with, and I guess give them incentives to do the right thing and follow the right path, and show them there's rewards for good behavior.
And do you guys monitor the games that
Yes.
they play while on the Switch?
We do.
What kind of games can they play?
Nothing violent. So nothing with any kind of weapons, fighting like Mortal Kombat, no shooting games. Basically, we have like basketball games, football games, Mario Kart, stuff like that.
And are you aware of the classification level of Austin Thompson while he has been in your facility?
Yes.
All right. Are you aware of when Austin Thompson get the gold status?
About 6 weeks after he got there, that's about how long it takes to get to gold.
So as quick as he could get to gold status, Austin achieved gold status?
Yes.
And has he ever been demoted from gold status during the time in your facility?
No.
Is keeping that gold status important to a lot of kids in that facility?
It is. You get a lot of incentives to stay on gold.
And things like fighting or disrespecting or causing any kind of security issues would get a person demoted from that gold status?
Basically, any rule infraction can get you taken off gold.
And in your 3.5 years of being around there, outside of the incentives, what else did you, Austin Thompson, typically do with his time?
He spent a lot of time since he's on gold. One of the incentives I didn't mention was they get a tablet on second shift in their room, and there's movies on there, so he can watch movies. He plays his Nintendo Switch, listens to music, reads books, and then, of course, rec time he'll come out or go play basketball when they go outside.
And similar with the games and the Nintendo Switch, I'm assuming these movies and books are also monitored.
Correct.
And what kind of movies and books are allowed in your facility?
Movies have to be PG-13 or under. And even some PG-13 movies, if we start to see something inappropriate, we'll turn it off. And same with the books, they have to be age appropriate. The teachers check the books when they come in, approve them, and then the juveniles can get them.
And was Austin known for reading a lot of books while he was in there?
Yes, sir.
And where did his books go once he was done with it?
He would donate them to me to let the kids read.
And would you say that, talking about his gold status and his achieving that gold status and staying there, that Austin has been compliant with your facility's instructions and policies during your time there?
For the most part.
No further questions. Thank you, Ms. Ross.
Cross-examination.
Very briefly, Your Honor. Ms. Ross, how long are how long are people in your custody supposed to stay at that facility age-wise? When do they age out?
So it depends on the circumstances. Juveniles, if they're under 18 and have juvenile charges, until they go to their placement, wherever that might be. If they're in Superior Court, typically on their 18th birthday, they're supposed to leave and go to county.
But the defendant is still in juvenile custody at this time.
Yes, sir.
He has reached the age of 18,
Yes, sir.
correct?
Yes, sir.
And so that's a special disposition for him.
I'm assuming, I don't know the circumstances that was above.
Outside of your purview.
Yeah, I don't. So I don't know.
Now, these movies that the students, or again, I said students because it sounds like you kind of have school.
We call them students too.
Okay. The movies that they're watching those on tablets?
Well, they come out for, we call it floor time, but basically it's they get to come out of the room and watch movies as a group, and we pick the movies for them. And on the tablets, yes, there are some movies on the tablets that, we don't pick those movies. Those come from Raleigh somewhere and go on the tablets.
Okay. The games, you said there's no violent games.
Correct.
The books, who makes the determination about what types of books these people are allowed to read?
Well, we have some pretty standard rules. They can't be violent. They can't be hardback. And when the parents bring them in, we let the teachers review the books, and then they go to the juveniles.
Okay. Are you familiar with James Patterson?
I am.
What types of books is he generally writing?
I believe he writes action books. There's shooting in them.
Serial killers?
Mm-hmm.
Would you be surprised that those are types of books that a resident at your facility is reading?
I would be, but
it could happen?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Do they also have the ability to sometimes find ways to watch things they're not supposed to watch while they're there?
I don't know how they would, because on the tablets there's no internet service, so they can't look anything up. The movies that are on the tablets are pre-picked when they come to our facility or get on the tablets that we have, and then the movie's staff picks.
So would it surprise you that Austin recounted an event where the tablets were, quote, jailbroke and they had to be taken away from all of the residents?
That was not at our facility. It happened somewhere else. Yeah.
So it's
but
possible.
it's possible, yes.
Okay. And when that happened, you guys had to take yours away as well,
Yeah.
right?
Everybody across the board took theirs away to put security in place.
So you do the best that you can
Yes.
to monitor what these people are intaking,
Yes.
but you can't guarantee what
Correct.
it is, right?
Yep.
And just like their behavior, you do the
Correct.
best that you can to monitor their behavior, but they can do things and have interactions with people that you just don't see and wouldn't mark down.
Yeah.
Right? And if that's happening, then you wouldn't be able to demote someone from this gold standard to some other standard.
Correct.
Okay. But all in all, what you know about the defendant in this situation, he's been a relatively compliant and unproblematic resident.
For the most part.
Okay. What's the hesitation?
He never crossed the line. Austin did sometimes like to push the line and get there.
Tell us about that.
Being redirected, sometimes he'd get really upset and he'd mumble under his breath, you know. Can't really hear what he's saying, but we redirect that, you know, hey Austin, don't mumble under your breath, you were told to do something, just do it. Stuff like that. Or playing basketball with the kids, he'd hit one of them in the shins with the basketball, had to be redirected for that.
Okay.
Instances like that.
And so those are things that you remember about Austin. They may not be documented, but you have a specific memory of Austin at least hitting someone in the shins with basketball and pushing the line, if not crossing.
A few of those instances are documented. We don't make it a habit of just the first time they do something bad, or even the second time, taking a level they work hard to get there. And it is a therapeutic environment we try to be. So we try to redirect the behavior, and if they're compliant, then yeah, we're not going to just yank everything away from them. But so some of the stuff is documented.
Okay. Is there anything else like that you recall about Austin?
Just one instance, I can't remember what we were watching. This was maybe a year ago. We were watching a TV show. This is back before we got, you know, the word they can't watch cop shows anymore. It was, I think, it's Chicago PD. And the bad guy had the cop at gunpoint and did some ninja move. I don't know. It's silly, but, you know, they're kids. Gets out of it, and when the kids is like, Miss Ross, could you do that? And I'm like, I sure could. Get away. Don't mess with me. You know. And Austin made the comment, something to the effect, can I be the one to try that?
So he wanted to be the one to try the ninja move on you?
And that is documented in the behavior summary because it was something I felt was significant.
Did he lose a privilege from that?
No, I told him that's inappropriate. I don't ever want to hear you talk like that again. If I hear it, you will automatically lose your level.
Do you remember when that happened?
Not specifically, no.
Okay. We've heard some testimony about some statements that the defendant made about being able to hear a shooting range from that facility. Is that accurate?
Yes, there's a shooting range somewhere behind the facility.
And you can hear those sometimes? Yes. Has he ever said anything to you about that?
He just makes comments.
Such
you know,
as?
You hear that, all that, I can't even specifically remember, but they'll be on the basketball court and you can hear them shooting and, Ms. Ross, you hear that? And I'm like, yeah, I play basketball.
Seem to be interested in that?
Yes.
Okay. No other questions, Your Honor.
Just very briefly, I think Ms. Ross, you had said that it's fair to say that Austin had a sassy mouth.
Yes.
But even with that, when you redirected him and told him chill out or stop, he was compliant and
Yes.
listened to that and did not go any further.
Correct.
Nothing further, Your Honor.
No other questions.
Thank you, ma'am. You missed it. Further evidence?
Yes, Your Honor. We call Director Hallett to the stand, please.
Good morning, Director Hallett. Place your left hand on the Bible, raise your right. Face Madam Clerk. Right here, sir.
Do you solemnly swear the testimony you give the court will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do, ma'am.
Thank you. May be seated.
Thompson. Thank you, Your Honor. Director Hallett, could you introduce yourself to the court, please?
Yes, sir. My name is Gene Halleck. I'm the facility director of the Cumberland Juvenile Detention Center in Fayetteville.
And, Your Honor, we would, similar order, do you have privileged and confidential information that your general counsel has told you that you need to be ordered in order to testify here today?
Yes, sir.
Your Honor.
So ordered.
Yes, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Director Hallett, what do you do on a day-to-day basis?
I've got an administrative role. I oversee staffing operations and making sure that procedures and policies are followed. Make sure we're within compliance. I don't do any direct care supervision of the juveniles.
Got it. And so mostly you're hiring and firing employees and going through policies and things of that nature?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And how long have you been in that position?
Going on 21 years.
And how many kids are in your facility at any given time?
Anywhere between 18 and 25.
And how many kids are in and out of your facility on an annual basis?
Through officers a check, but probably somewhere around 300, 350.
It's fair to say that sometimes your facility is overcrowded and more kids than you should have at any given time.
Yes, sir.
And so what does your typical day-to-day look like?
My typical day-to-day?
Yeah, typical day-to-day.
I mean, again, I would make sure that everything's operating well. We got enough staff on the floor. People are following policies. Check in with our nutritional specialists, make sure that our cook is here and things are right in the kitchen. Make sure that our management staff have got enough employees to be able to manage and run the floor.
And with that, you don't have much interaction with the kids and students in your facility. So how did you come to be in contact with Mr. Austin Thompson? How did you first get him in your facility?
We received Austin straight from the hospital into our facility, and he was housed in a room within probably 8 foot of the nurse's office and within 8 foot of my office.
And is that unusual for a person to be housed where Austin was housed initially when he came to your facility?
It's not unusual. The room was available, but given his medical situation, we felt that it was best for him to be close to the nurse's station.
And so how long was he in that, I guess, that spot where he was close to your office and to that nurse's facility?
Probably 18 months or so.
And so for the first 18 months or so, he was in very close proximity to your office?
Yes, sir, within 8 foot.
And what kind of, I guess, what were the medical concerns that you had for Austin in your facility?
Well, he had some serious medical issues when he was at the hospital, and so when he left, it was important for us to have him close to the nurse so we could take care of his medical needs. He had a lot going on with his head injury.
And was your facility specifically chosen because of your, I guess, medical care that you guys would be able to provide?
That was a decision done by leadership in Raleigh, so I'm not real sure on that, sir.
Because typically he might have been held in Wake County, is that fair to say?
Yes, sir.
But he was transferred and has spent the vast majority of his time since his incident in Cumberland County in your facility.
I think, yes, sir. He came straight from the hospital to our facility.
And during this time that he was in that close proximity to your office, did you notice any kind of behavioral problems with Austin at that time?
No, sir, no.
Did you hear Ms. Ross just talk about the different status levels that are the students are eligible for at your facility?
Yes, sir.
Tell us more about that and why they have those in place, and the point of those, I guess, different status levels?
Yes, sir. It's a tool that we use to try to modify behavior. I mean, the more privileges that our students have is an incentive for them to do well. They've got to have something to look forward to, and so if they know that their behavior is linked to an incentive that they really want, then it's a form of behavior modification that helps them do the right thing.
And why is that specific for your facility where you guys are housing juveniles? Just talk to me about the policy and thought process behind that.
I'm sorry, say again, sir.
Just, I guess, would it be fair to say the juvenile facilities are built on a therapeutic model?
Yes, sir.
Talk to me more about that and what you're seeking to achieve during their time with you.
Well, we try to wrap services around. I mean, a juvenile detention center is actually a short-term facility. Then we have long-term facilities. But we wrap our services around. We have our psychologists work with them. We have our clinicians work with them. We have our behavior specialists like Ms. Ross work with them. And so we wrap our services around young people in hopes that when it's time for them to leave, that they could do better on the outside.
What ages of juveniles are you typically housing in your facility?
Probably our medium age is probably 17 right now.
And how young can these kids be in your facility?
They've changed that recently. I believe maybe 10 or 12.
And is it important to, I guess we keep on talking about Raleigh, but for Raleigh and the people that are in charge of your facility, that juveniles are accommodated differently than, I guess, typical adult facilities would house? And I may have completely messed up the question. But
I really don't know about the adult facilities. I just know that we try to offer a therapeutic service so we can wrap our services. It's important for us to offer education, behaviors with counseling. We offer our counselors to come in every day and talk to them. So it's important for us to do the right thing so they can be prepared for their community again.
And I know you said you don't interact with the residents on a day-to-day basis. When serious issues occur, do those bubble up to you for you to be aware of those?
They would.
Okay. And in regards to Austin Thompson, has a serious issue ever bubbled up to you where it caused any kind of concern for your facility in any kind of way?
No, sir.
All right. Thank you, Director.
Yes, sir.
Cross-examination.
No questions, Your Honor.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Yes, sir.
Further evidence?
Yes, Your Honor. We would call Mr. Casey Corey to the stand.
Good afternoon, Mr. Corey. Place your left hand on the Bible, raise your right, and face Madam Clerk.
Do you solemnly swear the testimony you give the court will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. You may be seated.
Thank you, Your Honor. Mr. Corey, can you introduce yourself to the court, please?
My name is Casey Corey. I'm the Director of Education Services for the North Carolina Department of Juvenile Justice and Delinquency Prevention.
And Mr. Corey, have you been informed by the General Counsel of Juvenile Justice that you would need to be ordered in order to testify about any confidential or privileged information in regards to Austin Thompson?
Yes, sir.
Your Honor, I would ask that you order Mr. Corey to be in. Yes, sir.
So ordered.
Mr. Corey, how long have you been in that position?
A little over 2.5 years, sir.
And what does that have you doing on a day-to-day basis?
So I'm the direct administrator over the 14 facilities for education for the state of North Carolina. We have principals in our youth development centers who provide administrative oversight for education in our regional detention centers. So I also provide oversight for those facilities as well. Any state mandate, federal regulation warranted for any public school unit within the state of North Carolina, I provide that oversight for all of those facilities.
And do you know how many students you guys have currently across the state?
So currently, right now, we have a little under 500 students in all of our facilities throughout the state.
And what is the curriculum like?
So it's the standard course of study for the state of North Carolina. We are a local education agency, so all of our facilities have school designation in the state of North Carolina.
So I guess if people wanted to kind of diminish the school in there, how does this compare to a quote-unquote regular school?
It's non-traditional in the sense that we have, adjudicated youth within our facilities, but outside of that, all of our teachers are certified through the state of North Carolina. They take licensure exam just like any other student, any other teacher, any other public school in the state.
Why is it important for kids to attend school while they're in country?
Well, it's important because, like my colleagues stated, we're a rehabilitative facility. Our goal and our hope is to make sure that kids can be reintegrated back into their local community based on whatever infraction that actually got them to the detention or youth development center.
Because you're dealing with a population of what ages are you typically dealing with?
So we have as young as 10 all the way up to 18 years of age. We do have special designated facilities for minors under the age of 12 years old. So traditionally in our facilities, we average about 13 to 18 years of age.
And how did you come in contact with, are you aware, have you met Austin Thompson prior to today?
Only once.
Okay. And how did you meet him?
At a graduation.
Okay. What graduation was it? Tell me about
his graduation.
Okay. He graduated while he was in the, where did he graduate from?
Cumberland Youth Academy. Okay. Cumberland Learning Academy. All of our facilities have a school designation so that they're nondescript on their transcripts when they transition back to the local community.
And so they could take that similar to like if he graduated from
Brockman
High School, Nightdale High School.
No different.
Why do you go?
Why did I go?
Yeah.
Actually, I attend all the graduations in the state when we have graduates at our facilities. We have several graduations throughout the academic school year. It is a great accomplishment for a juvenile in that particular setting. It's a momentous occasion for their families. So we want to make sure that they have the same due diligence as any regular student, guaranteed in the state of North Carolina.
And what does that program typically look like?
It is a very traditional graduation ceremony, prompt circumstance, welcome, poem, guest speaker, etc.
And how many students were in Austin's graduating class?
Just Austin.
Who was the speaker for his graduation ceremony?
It was a local resident who was a previous adjudicated youth who had come back to be the speaker.
And why is that important?
It's important so that kids see the progression that you can make, and once you're in that particular setting, that there are opportunities if you take those opportunities in the community for you to be successful.
And I know Director Hallett just said he has between 18 and 25 other kids in there at the time. What are the other kids doing while you guys are having this prompt circumstance?
So in this particular setting, throughout that programming, kids were almost like the master of ceremonies. So they had different roles and different parts within the program itself.
And is it something that you want them to aspire to do?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Absolutely.
And how do the kids there typically get their schoolwork or typically complete their schoolwork?
So we have school educators who are hired by our agency to work with our students. Depending on their length of stay, we transfer students in just like we would enroll a student at any other local school throughout the state. We have access to a SIS system or student information system The most recent system in the state of North Carolina is called Infinite Campus. So we have access to Infinite Campus, and we pull in student records, we request records. We have data managers very similar to the public school structure to provide those resources so that we can adequately assess where the students are to make sure that they're going about the right path, the right trajectory in order to complete their high school requirement.
And are you aware of a program called Origin?
I am, yes sir.
And what is Origin?
Origin is a tablet-based program for incarcerated individuals across the country. Origin is just one tool that we use in order to provide resources for our students. It is not a primary resource, but I would deem it as a secondary resource where students can get career development. We have some of our tablet-based or technology-based applications that are also stored on that device as well. So there's a law library, there are different applications. It is a very, it is not a web-based, it does run by the internet, but it does not have a browser for students to seek any additional information. Yeah.
Hey, y'all may I approach?
Yes.
Y'all may I approach?
Yes.
Mr. Corey, what are you taking a look at there?
So these are the programs and certificates that learner 343, 549 have completed during their time within the facility.
All right, and every student assigned that kind of number to log in.
Yes, sir.
And does that fairly accurately represent the origin report for Austin Thompson?
It does, yes, sir.
Your Honor, we would ask that exhibit number 17 be
Any objection?
No objection, Your Honor.
And I think you had said it before, but that's not the primary source of education. Those kind of almost look like electives.
Not even electives. They would be almost considered like post-secondary coursework. So for any student who had completed school, or if they had downtime, i.e. second shift, they could work on those activities independent. These are not assigned programs for our students.
And on that, it appears that Austin Thompson spent a lot of his time going through those post-secondary programs through the Origin app.
Based on this report, yes, sir.
And a lot of those kind of endeavor towards what a person would like to do in the future. Is that fair to say?
That's very fair.
And is there anything else you would like to tell the court about your process and your graduation process? It seems like you're very proud of the system and you've been able to put together and administer.
Kids go through some very traumatic situations throughout, their young adult lives. So being able to have some wholeness to stability, education can provide that for them within our setting. I attended 7 graduations, within the course of this academic year for 25-26. I'm pretty sure I'll attend about 6 or 7 more in May or June of this spring. So we're very proud of our students who reached that accomplishment.
And it's a big deal for every student.
Absolutely.
That's perfect. Thank you, Mr. Corey.
Cross-examination.
No, Your Honor.
Thank you, sir.
And Your Honor, I'll provide you an additional copy of that.
There was no exhibit 16, is that correct? It's fine if there is not.
That's what I had. I was questioning if
I'll put it in numerical order for the clerk, so I'll adjust whatever number I need to put on it.
Whatever. You want to change it to 16?
That'd be fine.
All right.
Yes,
So
thank
let
you.
the record reflect that what was identified as exhibit 17 is being changed to exhibit 16.
Thank you. I apologize.
It's written 16.
Okay.
Written. Thank you. All right. Is there further evidence for
Yeah,
for today?
No, there is not further evidence for today.
All right. So we're going to recess until 9:30 tomorrow morning. There will be further evidence tomorrow morning, and I expect we'll have a full day tomorrow. But we will be in recess for the remainder of today. Council, I have a brief matter to confer with you after we're in recess relating to some exhibits, but otherwise, that's the business for today.
Yes, Your Honor, Superior Court be in recess till tomorrow morning, 09:30 hours.